All right. So I just got off a session with one of my clients who's a doctor, and we were talking about the necessity of self regulation and self care, which self regulation is self care, right? Releasing the tension, adrenaline, emotion from your body, listening to your body, which is interoception, the experience of the embodied self. But, you know, you don't just need self regulation, you also need self care in general. You need to take care of yourself and not feel guilty about it. Because the more that you take care of yourself, the more that you're going to be able to take care of other people. I used to feel so guilty for taking a nap or for just getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep or, doing progressive muscle relaxation or even just getting in hot water just to relax my body or having boundaries. I used to feel so guilty for these things until I started to have more and more people needing my help, right? Whenever, you've got so many people needing your help with anxiety and panic attacks and trauma, and you've got a 5-person team that you help manage as CEO, and you've got a 5-person family that needs you. It's like, as the demand on my energy is increasing, my energy is not increasing with it. I've got the same amount of energy, and so if I just say yes to everybody, and if I don't have a lot of self-care, you can figure out where that would end. It would end with burnout and compassion fatigue, which is a form of secondary trauma that happens when you're in a care-based field and you don't properly self-regulate or take care of yourself and have self-care. But anyway, my client and I were talking about how, especially in America, and I'm not saying it's not in other countries as well, but especially in America, we are so backwards when it comes to self-care. We have created this society that associates self-neglect with positivity, particularly the hustle culture, which I'm not totally against, by the way. I think that there's a balance. You got to take in the bad and take out the bad, take in the good, leave the good. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like David Goggins, like if I'm just feeling like unmotivated sometimes, just turn that guy on, like who's going to carry the boats? Suddenly I'm going to carry the boats. You know what I mean? If you've watched him, you got that. If not, that didn't make any sense. But anyway, but at the same time, if you listen to him long enough, you're going to see that he completely neglects his body. Now, he does take care of his body in a lot of ways, like he does a lot of stretching and different things, but he definitely neglects his body. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. I mean, your body, like apparently he doesn't get a whole lot of sleep, and he's running like 10, 20 miles a day. Like that's going to have a significant impact on your body. There's just no question. And I love Jocko Willink. I mean, I literally got this ugly tattoo that I'm going to get removed. It was the stupidest placement of it. I like the word or whatever, but I'm going to get this removed. That was a dumb idea. But I literally got the word good tattooed on my wrist based off of this philosophy that I learned from former Navy SEAL Commander Jocko Willink, which is whenever something bad happens, you say good, you see a positive in it. That changed my life. It's a reframing technique, and it makes it to where you're unstoppable. Yet at the same time, although Jocko is shifting, I've listened to some of his audios and he emphasizes the importance of sleep. But I've heard so many times, even Jocko, who is one of my heroes whom I love, basically make it seem as if take a nap or get proper rest, that you're basically weak. All those guys do that. That's part of that culture because we have kind of a hyper response to laziness, I think, sometimes, right? So there are these people out there, and I've been one of them before, that aren't doing anything with their life. They're laying on the couch. That's what David Goggins is speaking to a lot, right? He's like, there's a lot of people out there. He's always running. So it's like, there's a lot of people out there. They're not doing with their lives. They're just sitting on the couch, wasting away. And what I tell people is you got to tap into that savage mindset, and you got to actually ask yourself the question, does my life mean anything? Am I going to be lazy, or am I actually going to be a savage? Stay hard. Anyway, that was terrible. But it's like, I get that, But we don't have to go to the opposite extreme, which is equally unhealthy, just in a different way. If you go from extreme laziness to all of a sudden you never listen to your body, it's all about exercise and weightlifting and hustle, hustle, hustle. You don't ever stop no matter what. I can't tell you how many thousands of people that I've worked with that if you saw their Instagram profile, if you saw them on the surface, if you looked at their career, you would think that those people are the healthiest people that you have ever met. But their outer world was completely contrary to their inner world. They weren't listening to their body. They weren't prioritizing self-care. They weren't self-regulating. And they may have been able to achieve a really great career or have a great body, but along the way, they left their body behind, so they can't enjoy it. Do you know how many people that I have spoken with that have very successful careers, some of them multimillionaires, that have everything that you could imagine externally, but yet they can't enjoy it because they can't be present because their body is a war zone. But what I tell people is it doesn't have to be either or. You can live an amazing life. You can accomplish your dreams when it comes to fitness and finance and relationships and all these things, but you don't have to do it at the sacrifice of your body. And I know this because I'm living it, right? I'm married to my dream woman. I love my family. I love my career. Now the fitness thing, as you can see, it's a work in progress. But anyway, I'm working towards fitness goals. I think that I am, pretty athletic, pretty healthy, although I've got a long way to go before I've got any significant muscle. But what I'm saying is, I have very high levels of output. It's a very high performance job, and it's in the care field. I mean, it's helping people who are suffering, and yet I'm able to stay calm and regulated. Yet I'm able to do it without the destruction of my body. Right? How am I able to do that? Well, it's not because I'm special. I promise you, I'm not any smarter than you are. I failed the 8th grade. I was socially promoted in high school. The only reason that I graduated is because they probably felt bad for me. And, I'm just not smarter than you are. The only difference between me and you, if you're one of these people, is that I made a decision that I was willing to pay the cost, that I was fed up with the life that I was living. I was tired of the narcissistic abuse that came into my life from multiple people because I used to be a people pleaser and I didn't have any boundaries, had no assertiveness, no confidence, and I was like blood in the water for some very toxic, abusive people that just stole years of my life. I used to get severely bullied all the time. Couldn't sleep well, super stressed out all the time, constant anxiety. Eventually, it all led to a trauma state, which if you follow my channel, you know well about that. Depersonalization, realization, emotional numbness, time felt distorted, memory issues, all that stuff, in addition to the anxiety and panic. And there were times where I was just completely numb too. Health anxiety, existential anxiety, felt very depressed for many years. Hated my job. I was like, you know what? It really started with two people, Gary Vaynerchuk and Tony Robbins, right? Not saying I love everything about those people, but those people changed my life. I started to listen to Gary Vaynerchuk, and he used to be like, he sounds like Mickey Mouse. He's like, you can be happy, man. Don't you want to be happy, bro? He's like, you just got to hustle, man. You just got to, you close your eyes until you're 30. You got time, man. You got so much time. And then Tony Robbins would just talk about how hey, you can change your life and here's some tools. And I started to shift from an external locus of control to an internal locus of control, right? An external locus of control would say that the trajectory of my life is dependent on things like fate and luck and environment and that, the home I grew up in or the family that I came from or the economy or who's president, whether it's, the orange man or the senior citizen or this person or that person. Not going to get political on you. I was in the foothills of or Donald Trump. The people they're talking about me, they love me. They love me. They're saying, look at his hair. It's so great. He in his skin, it's so fair. He probably tans probably every day to get a complexion like that. It's so good. They love it. They love it. Anyway, But, regardless, it's like you think that it's the system that's against you. It's the matrix, or it's, because I didn't grow up in the best family, or this thing or that thing. And you're pushing the trajectory of your life externally. An internal locus of control would say, you know what? I actually have the capacity to change my life for the better or for the worse. It's up to me. And it doesn't matter what my genetics are. It doesn't matter the family I came from. It doesn't matter the country that I'm in. It doesn't matter the society or who's president or this thing or that thing or who likes me. I can live whatever life that I want to live. Now, there are some limitations, I'm never going to be LeBron James. Okay. It's just not going to happen. To the day I die, I will never be in the NBA. There are some exceptions to that, but almost no exceptions. You can literally do anything that you want to do, and you can become anybody that you want to become. But you have to start with even just a mustard seed of belief that it's possible. Okay? And then you take action, because it's ultimately action that's going to translate into belief. A lot of people try to change their beliefs without execution. Now, I just need you to have enough belief to take action from this place of understanding that I can change my life. And then once you see the fruit of your actions, your beliefs change. And then all of a sudden, being a person of action becomes a part of who you are. See, people that don't believe that they can change, they think that they think the trajectory of their life is out here. It's all external. They usually don't take action because they're like, why would it matter? This is just the hand of cards that I was dealt. That was me. I just sat and marinated in the pain. Well, miserable relationships, miserable job, never really did anything. I guess this is just the generational patterns, really nothing I can do. But once I started to listen to Tony Robbins and Gary Vaynerchuk and started to get even just a little bit of belief, enough to take action, I started to create things and I started to execute. And then people started to follow. They started to listen. And I started to create services and products and transformation for people. And I started to, write. And I even ended up writing a book and went through that process. And, and here we are 6 years later. And every day I'm creating things and I'm making things happen in my life. But I want you to know it wasn't always like that. But anyway, going back to what we were talking about before, what allowed me to be able to do all this stuff, it all came ultimately from a decision that enough was enough. And I don't care if we live in a hustle culture where getting good sleep is not cool and, taking a nap is not cool, listening to your body, having boundaries is not cool. I had enough, right? And even though I used to be really passive and kind of a pushover, I still was that type of guy that I did have a breaking point. And I finally got to my breaking point and I said, I'm done with this. And I had listened to Gary Vaynerchuk and Tony Robbins enough. I was like, okay, I'm going to start changing my life. And I'm going to be willing to pay the price tag for self-care, no matter what it costs me. And let me tell you, my friends, and there's so many things I'll never be able to tell you about, I had to pay a very big price tag to get to where I'm at. An unthinkable price tag. And that's not a woe is me story. I'm telling you that for you. I had to fight tooth and nail to get to where I'm at, where I have a regulated nervous system and I love my life. Life is a war zone. It is warfare. And that's why you need a soldier's mentality. You have to go on the offense, because if you take the defense and you're just waiting for life to happen to you, you are literally going to stay down for the rest of your life. You have to accept that life is hard. And the only way that I'm going to be able to thrive in this life is if I go out on the attack. And I'm going to start being proactive with my health. I'm going to start being proactive with my nervous system. I'm going to set up boundaries. I'm going to be willing to cut off these toxic or abusive relationships. I don't care what it costs me anymore. I'm going to change jobs if I need to change jobs. Whatever it cost me, nothing is worth more than my health. That has to be the boundary, the core value that you establish. Otherwise, you're never going to be willing to pay that price tag. That's why, if I'm getting on a call with somebody, they want to work with me, you would be baffled at how many people I turn away. because I've got to hear that desperation. I've got to hear that urgency. Because if you sign up to work with me and you're not at that place yet and you're not ready to play self care, you're just going to keep repeating the same cycles and it's a waste of both of our times. So, what I do is I only work with the people that are at that fed up point, and I've learned it takes everybody a certain amount of time. I always say the 80-20 rule. I think it's more like the 90-10, but we'll say 80-20. 80% of people are still in that process of being fed up and they're not there yet. But once you get there, and you can become the 20%, but once you get there and enough is enough and you're ready to pay the price tag for self care, you're going to realize that it's actually not as big of a cost as you think it is in the long term. It's only the short term. If your life is currently an accumulation of not having boundaries and not having self care, yeah, you're going to have to pay a price tag, a pretty hefty one in the short term sometimes. But I always tell people, if you're willing to go through short-term hell, you can get to long-term heaven. But maintaining this in the long term actually gets really easy. And a lot of times you prevent a bunch of stress and a bunch of problems because you see things in their inception. You're like, no, 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 no. Like, my wife and I have hung out with people before, and within just like a few situations with them, I'm like, no, like, I won't say this to the people's face, but I'll tell my wife, like, if I hang around that person, I'm going to end up smoking cigarettes. I'm going to end up drinking alcohol. I'm going to end up, being more stressed out. I'm going to just have more negativity in my life. They're going to drain me. And I love them. I wish them the best. I can't do it because I did that. I did that road and I'm not doing it anymore. Right. Oh, you know what? Especially, coming out of narcissistic abuse that I went through multiple times, I had to study covert narcissism. And man, everybody needs to study covert narcissism because they're covert, right? You won't know that it's coming unless you know about gaslighting and projection and you understand the 9 traits of narcissism. And I had to learn about those traits to come out of the narcissism and recognize the abuse I was under. But then now it's allowed me to spot it in people that maybe try to come into my life, and I see these things and I'm like, wait a second, no, 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 no. You may fool everybody else. I see exactly what you're doing. I don't tell them this. I just walk away. But what I'm saying is you'll eventually get into a cycle where you're being so healthy in life, you have so much self-care and you have so many boundaries that you'll prevent a lot of this stuff from happening. And then if it does, a bad thing does happen or whatever, you just say good, see a positive, and you'll be fine. Or you just learn from your mistakes. You set up a new standard operating procedure to deal with it in the future, and it's not that hard. I have a lot of challenges in my life, significant challenges every single week, sometimes daily, depending on the week. But I'm not thrown off by it because of these things, because I've been willing to pay the price tag to make self-care a part of my life and boundaries a part of my life, and I'm not special. And so anyway, I think we have to get away from this hustle culture stuff. Listen, I'm all about, like, go to the gym, exercise, work hard. But did you know that you can work from a place of rest? That's the last thing I want to say. Jeff Bezos, former CEO of Amazon, the guy with the really creepy laugh. He's creepy. But the guy built an amazing company. Well, I don't like a lot of their lack of core values and the way they run their company, but that's another thing. But anyway, you got to take out the bad, take in the good. If you listen to interviews with him, he says, I always get 8 to 9 hours of sleep because I make more quality decisions as a CEO. Because that's part of what I do as CEO, is deciding, what's the vision for this? So, I make major decisions that determine the trajectory of where me and the people who work for me are going to go. And this will affect you guys and everything. And what I've learned is what he's saying is true. I'm focused more on quality over quantity. I used to work like a chicken with my head cut off and be like, okay, I got to put in these 12, 13-hour days. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just get super rested, 8 to 9 hours of sleep, super relaxed, super regulated, get away from all the stress and drama, and I can get more done in 1 to 3 hours because I'm able to think so clearly and strategically. I also have very good business coaches that help me significantly. That's why you need mentorship in life for anything that you want to get better at. It's just going to save you so much time. But I'm able to think smarter. Like work smarter, not harder, right? But we're so focused on like quantity of like, oh, well, I only got 3 to 4 hours of sleep. Whoa, man, like you hustle. There's all these selfie videos of people, on Instagram. And I love these people. I'm not judging them, but they'll be like, I got 3 hours of sleep last night and it's 5 in the morning and here I am at the gym because I hustle and I'll have like 100,000 likes. It's like, yeah, that is the type of person that becomes my client because they're not listening to their body. And I think that we should create a counter culture movement where we make it cool to be rested and we start to connect rest and self-care with enhanced productivity, more quality productivity versus making it like, oh, well, yeah, you got to work 12, 13, 14 hours a day, blah, 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 not get good sleep. That's stupid. Anybody who's become very successful that did it the smart way would tell you like you're probably adding years of wasted time onto what you're doing, whether you're a business owner or you're this thing or that thing, where you got to work a lot of hours or just climbing your way up in your career. It's stupid. It's a waste of time. And you may get what you want, but you're going to lose your body in the process. So why not just get super relaxed and rested and make more quality decisions than focus on quantity, right? So anyway, I associate rest with success. Rest equals success. The more rested you are, the more relaxed you are, the more successful you will become. Because remember, success is not just determined by the externals. Success is mainly in here, because if you got a nice car and a nice house and your career's all good and you got all this stuff on the externals, but you can't even enjoy it and you don't have peace on the inside, it doesn't matter. We need to redefine what success is. Success is peace. Okay, that's it. This helped you, click like, subscribe, join the family. You guys are awesome, and hope you have a good day. Oh yeah, if you want to work with me, there's a link. You guys know all the stuff. Click it.